last 2 days I think what we looked at is we looked at initially the pattern and matcher classes, fine, so that we know how to manage regular expressions, fine, how to match a pattern, a regular expression pattern with some input text. Okay, and then yesterday we saw about a class called scanner, fine, which could be useful for taking input also. Okay, fine. So let's use them for our next class. Let's just look at what we are going to develop today. Okay, what we want to develop is a class called bank clerk. Okay, fine. Finally, see what we want is something like this. A bank clerk object would be created. Okay, we would like to create an object of a bank clerk. So if this is a bank clerk object, the bank clerk works in a bank, so it should have a reference to a bank object. So we'll first be creating a bank object and then using it in the constructor of a bank clerk. Fine. So bank clerk has a reference to a bank object. The bank clerk has a method run. Okay, it should have a method called run, and when we call the run method, what the bank clerk in turn does is it starts reading. So there will be some input stream from where it should be reading. Okay, it would be the standard input. Fine, we'll use system.in. Okay, so it can create a scanner using the system.in. Fine, and it can read the input from there. So read line by line, the commands will be read. Okay, should give out a response to the standard output. Fine, it can give out response to the standard output. Okay, fine, and just continue doing this, that's it. Okay, so when it reads a command, yes, for that command it would interpret as invoking a method on the bank. Right, it should be invoking some method on the bank, doing some operation on the bank, and then giving a response. Okay, we haven't looked at the entire of Java.io package, but just to generalize the things. Okay, we don't want hard coding. Fine, fix things. Okay, so what we can do is we can say fine, as far as reading will be concerned, getting the commands is concerned, we don't want to say okay, we'll read commands only from the standard input. Fine, we can say okay, we can read from any input stream. Okay, so commands may be read from any input stream, and this is part of Java.io package, input stream class. Fine, and also giving the response need not always be to the system.out. System.out means you are giving to the standard output. Okay, instead we may keep it as some parameter, so that we might give output to any kind of output stream. Okay, so we want option. Fine, we would like to give an option that okay, fine, the one who creates a bank clerk object should be able to specify from where the commands will be read, could be any input stream, and where the output may be given, and it could be any output stream. There is a class called output stream basically in Java.io package. Okay, what we would be using ultimately, yes, we would be using from input stream, we would create a scanner object and use input stream to create a scanner object. So bank clerk is reading using a scanner which is connected to some input stream. Okay, our bank clerk, when it wants to give output, it won't say system.out.println or printf. Fine. Instead, those are methods of print stream, we understand, but like print stream there is another equivalent class called print writer. The object of print writer can be created from any output stream, and it can be created from a output stream. So internally what we are going to use is a scanner and a print writer, okay, which would be constructed from a input stream and output stream. Okay. So when we want to give output, okay, we will have some print writer object where it would be giving the output. Okay, fine. Structurally, maybe some part of the structure is like this. Okay, a few other requirements which we have. Yeah, there is one requirement, yes, that we want to parameterize where the input comes from and where the output should go. Okay, where the commands will be read from and where the responses will be given. Okay, we don't want that to be hard coded. Okay, and other thing is related to I mentioned about it towards the end yesterday, that we would there is a fixed set of commands, so we would be using a enum for command. Fine, we would be using a enum for the command. So a command has object of command has a private instance variable which may be of type pattern, which represents its syntax. So we may have a variable called syntax in our enum for command. Okay. Fine. And then we have a method called getSyntax, which gives us, okay, what is the syntax for a particular command. So it will return a pattern object. So constructor for command would take a string, which is a regular expression to represent the syntax of the command. Fine. So we have a number of commands. Fine. For example, we may have a command called open. So when I want to create a open, okay, in the constructor I have to pass a string. So I pass a string, which is nothing but the regular expression for the open command. And that's open means opening a new account. Okay, fine. And in the constructor, what should be done? Whatever string is given in the constructor, it can be compiled and you create a pattern object from it. Fine. So command has a pattern. Fine. Command has a syntax in the form of a pattern object. Okay, so that's one thing. So that's going to be used internally. Fine. So you might have a enum for the command. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So let's look at the code. Fine. Let's develop the class called bank clerk. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So for the class bank clerk, we'll have what? A package bank, and we are making it part of the package bank. Fine. We'll need to use some imports, so we'll be using here. What we'll be using from Java.io package? We'll be using the input stream. We'll be using the output stream. So import java.io.output stream. Fine. We'll need import for java.util.scanner. We will also need an import for java.io.print stream. Print writer, it's a print writer we'll be using. Okay, let's see if we need more, we'll put those additional imports. And then yeah, we'll need import java.util.regex dot pattern and import java.util.regex dot matcher. Okay, so we have our public class called bank clerk. Right. Okay, so what does the bank clerk have? It has a private variable for, what will it use? It will need a bank object, that's the first thing, fine, on which it will work. Fine. It will need a scanner object, fine, that will be your command scanner, and from where it reads all the commands. It will need a print writer where the output will be given. Okay, it's a response writer. Okay, so responses will be given here. Fine. Okay, let's look at a constructor for bank clerk. Oh, we'll want a public constructor. So we have a public constructor for bank clerk with two parameters, three parameters rather. One will be the object of bank. Okay. Second will be a input stream, and third is some output stream. Okay. So first thing, initialization of the variables. This dot bank equals bank, this dot command scanner equals new scanner created from input stream, and this dot response writer equals new print writer created from the output stream. But in the print writer there is a boolean flag called auto flush true or false. Okay, and we will need to have this as auto flush true. Okay, we will see that meaning later, and when we look at the print writer class. Okay, so but this is how you will be creating the initializing the bank clerk object. Okay, we want enum for the commands, so we will have a, okay, we can have a enum for command. Yeah. So enum, what are the commands? There is a command for open. Okay, fine, we'll come back and write the syntax for it. First let's list open, that's one command. Then deposit, we'll have the withdraw, we'll have closing of account, maybe we can have quit, we'll keep at the last. Fine. Open, deposit, withdraw, close, what else? Display, we can have passbook, and that is close, closing an account. Fine, we'll have display, we'll have passbook, we'll have the list, and then I think that's it, we'll have quit. List of all the accounts in the bank, to list out all the accounts in the bank. Okay, so like prior to list we have display and passbook. They will close, display, passbook, they all require account number to be specified. Except for the open, rest of them they actually need a account number as one of the parameters. We'll see that. And what does it have as a private variable? It will have a pattern object, which is nothing but the syntax. Okay, the constructor for command would require a string, a regular expression, and this dot syntax equals, this dot syntax equals pattern dot compile, the regular expression. Okay, provide a public method to return pattern get syntax and return this dot syntax. Okay, we might be adding few other method. Okay, let's first now put the regular expressions here for each of the commands. Okay, so we want what? Open, okay, open, and then white space, and we would then like to capture a type of account, S or C. Okay, then would have some white space. Okay, and then we would like to capture the name as what? Word character plus, okay, and then have white space, and here we would have digits. Fine. Okay, so that's for the open command. Similarly, we'll have the deposit command. Okay, fine. Then we have the white spaces after deposit, and then the next thing would be account number. Fine, which would be digits, again some white spaces, and then we have the digits for the amount. Okay, I think up to this point will be the same. Okay, fine. For withdraw, fine, we have the withdraw. Okay, syntax for withdraw is there. Now next is close. Okay. And capture the account number. Okay. And there's a close command. Next is a display. Okay, from close we can copy all this. Yeah. And display will be again with account number. And so that's a display. And then we have the again the passbook with similar thing. And list would be simple, and just list. There's no parameter, anything like that. List is just only the list, right? Okay, and then the quit command. Okay, so those are our command objects. Fine. Okay. Now another thing, what we'll be doing is we'll be taking input from the user, which would be a string. Some input command is there, and this will be setting on a matcher object. Fine. And given this kind of a matcher object, fine, in which there is an input which is already set, we will have to find out what is the command which has been given. Fine. So we basically need to iterate over all the command objects. Okay. Fine. Iterate over all the command objects and identify where does it match. The input has to match something. Okay. So we can add a method. We will have it as a static method here. Okay, fine. So we can have a public static method in the command which would return a command object. So we call this as get command. Fine. Input will be a matcher object which has already been initialized with the input. A matcher object initialized with the input on which some input has been set. Okay. When the input is available, so what is the command from the user that has been initialized in a matcher, and in that matcher we are saying, okay, let's try to get what is the command now, identifying the command. Fine. So one of the things we have to do is identify what command has been entered. So we have a method in the command enum, fine, called get command. Okay, fine. So matcher. Fine, we have the matcher, and then we can say, okay, so now let's have a for loop, or you want it in the form of you can keep a command array, commands equal to command dot values. Fine, we know this array can be there, and then we can write a for loop for each command in commands. Yeah, what should be done? but before that, on the matcher dot use pattern command dot get syntax. When we initialize the other side, right? There are two things in a matcher, right? We have the input and we have the pattern. Fine. Input is already set, whatever is coming from the user, and now we would like to test one by one with the syntax of every command. So use pattern for the current command, fine, and then do the matches. If m dot matches, if it matches, then return this command. Fine. So go in the loop and try to identify if it is there, and if it's not there, we return a null.
लाइन नंबर 31 में प्राइवेट पैटर्न सिंटैक्स को कहाँ से उसमें तो हमने सिंटैक्स को ये नहीं किया.
Okay. Syntax is nothing but the pattern object in the command. So you have a command, open command is there. For open, what is the syntax? We have written a regular expression which is the form of a string. We are just converting into a pattern object and keeping it in the instance variable of command. And look at command as a class which has a instance variable and the type is pattern. Fine. We initialize this variable in the constructor. How? By using compile method on pattern. Fine. So from string to pattern, that's the only thing we are doing. Okay. The string is the input, regular expression is the input, converting into pattern object. Compile, it becomes a pattern. So each command has its own pattern object, which is the syntax. We say this is the syntax of the command. Fine. So command has a syntax. Fine. And we use pattern to represent the syntax. Okay. Fine. So fine. So this is what we have for the enum. Okay. So we have, so in our class called bank clerk, and so far what we have done, if you look at from the bank clerk point of view, a bank clerk is having a instance variable for a bank. Fine. It has a scanner, so a command scanner and a response writer. Okay. We have a constructor to initialize them. Yeah, we can add one more constructor here. Yeah. What we can do is we can add another constructor, right, where we will say, okay, we have a constructor for bank clerk where only a bank object is given. You don't give the input stream and output stream. Okay. And by default we'll say, okay, that's going to be system.in is the input stream and system.out will be my output stream. So if you don't specify input stream, output stream, yeah, I'll use the standard input and standard output. We are not hard coding that we will do it only for standard input and standard output. Okay, we will not be writing system.out.println, and our responses would not go to system.out, they would go to the response writer, and response writer could be going to system.out. Fine. If it is created from system.out, okay, it goes to the standard output. Fine. Scanner can be reading from any input stream and not necessarily system.in. Fine. If you have not specified any input stream, you have not specified the output stream, okay, we use the standard input, standard output. Now let's add another method here. So we will have a method which will do the all the checking and everything. Fine. Taking the command. So it's a loop now. Public void run method. Okay, what's there in this loop? Yeah. So the run method will have a loop, but before going into the loop, it should create a matcher. It should have find out what command is there. So we declare variables. Let's declare a variable for the command. Fine. So initialize to null. We'll have a matcher object equals. We want a matcher to be created, right? To create a matcher, we'll need what? Pattern object. Fine. When I say pattern object, I need a regular expression. A blank regular expression. My pattern object is created. Fine. And then I am calling matcher. I am not giving any input to this. I have a blank matcher object. There's no, fine. It is having a pattern object which has nothing. It is having input with nothing. I just wanted a matcher object. So initial matcher object created like this. Okay, fine. This will first be initialized with the input, and then we'll use the get command method to find out which command has been entered. Fine. We'll be taking command from the user. Fine. Whatever command comes from the user, that will be set as input on the matcher object. Okay, and which pattern, or if you look at the get command method, that's trying out the patterns from the various commands, and then it will be identifying which command has been given. Okay, so created a matcher object. Fine. So initial matcher object, and now let's look at this while loop. The condition of the while loop is while command equal to, so we are initializing the command. Okay, command equal to what? We will initialize the command, and when we have an assignment, okay, let me put like this. I'll have something, okay, I'll fill that up. Okay, while this is not equal to, that's my loop. I keep on going in the loop, looking for quit. While it's not quit, go in the loop. So if the command received is quit, we'll have to exit. Okay, fine. So command equal to, when we do that, right, assignment is again an expression. And whatever is on the right hand side of the assignment is taken as the value of the expression. Okay. So fine, serving two purposes, initializing the command and also making a comparison whether it's a quit or not. Okay, fine. How do we get the command? Sorry. Fine, that's returning command. Okay, what's the input to get command? Matcher. Okay, so we'll say matcher dot reset. Reset method on matcher returns a matcher. The matcher which you have created, that's a matcher. Fine, but on this we need to set the input which we receive from the command scanner. Fine, so we'll get input from command scanner. we have the readline method in scanner, which returns string. String. Huh? Huh? Oh, we want it in a loop. Huh? We want it to be read every time. Fine. I have written this while condition, yeah, but read it carefully and then we'll proceed. Fine, understand this. Fine, the first part was, okay, that we are trying to get the command object. Fine, that's the first thing. Okay, how do we get the command object? So we have the get command method in the static method in the command, but it requires a matcher. Matcher needs to be initialized with the input. Input comes from the scanner, read line of scanner. And command scanner dot read line. It's read line, I think. No, it's next line. It's not read line. Read line was console, and next line. Here it is next line. Yeah. The method in scanner is next line. It's not read line. They're full of next methods, right? Next kind of methods. Yeah. Okay, now let me explain. One thing which I have told you is you have the API documentation. Another thing, fine, is you will be using IDs. You will be using some IDE, and those IDs, they always give you all the options. So as you press a dot, you are given command, the type is already there, it knows command, right? So if you are saying command dot, okay, it knows there's a static method, so it will, fine. So if I say matcher dot, okay, immediately it gives you a drop down saying which method you want to use, and as you key in R, okay, reset and right. So it's going to be, it's not difficult thing. You should be aware that these things are available. This kind of thing is there. Fine. See, so what we do now within the while loop, execute a command, fine, whatever we have done, and then we'll just say continue. Now if I put a continue in the while loop, what will happen? It will come back to this condition, right? That means it's coming back to take the next command. So inside this loop we are not taking the command. Okay, fine, command is in the condition. Fine, take the command and check. That's a while condition. Okay, so we may just be saying continue there. Fine. So first thing, yeah. So within the loop, what's the first thing? Check. What's the check? If command. But we can't have switch case for null. If it didn't match, what do we do? Okay, it's not system.out.println, it's a response writer.println. Output given to response writer. Fine, we are not saying system out now. Fine, not necessarily a system out. Right? So println and what's that we are saying invalid syntax. Invalid syntax and then yeah, continue. Fine. So if it's invalid syntax, yes, that's the first thing we should find out. Okay, then yeah, as suggested, we can use a switch case. Switch command.
इससे कोई इजी ऑप्शन मतलब इसका सेकंड ऑप्शन स्विच केस के अलावा कौन सा कर सकते
उसके अलावा है
वही ये तो पता है
स्विच केस पता है. इसके अलावा जो ऑप्शन है, then you may have to go for maybe each command knows how to process. So in the enum you can have that abstract method for processing the command, and this could just be saying okay, process. I've got the command has a process method, each object has its own process method, but then you will need to pass all the values there and you will be passing multiple parameters there. One of the things what is needed is what has been captured, and the matcher object is very much necessary there. Okay, so you want to go for that kind of an option. Run method will be simple, it won't be a switch case then.
जैसे उसके लिए अलग से नेचर ट्रीट करना है.
Yeah, but each command at each command level, recollect polymorphic enum, polymorphic enum, that is each enum object has its own implementation of the method. Huh? Anonymous class. Lambda is the anonymous method. Okay. So what do you want?
सर वही नया ही देखते हैं सर, ये तो पता है स्विच केस तो पता है.
स्विच केस पता है. ठीक है. Okay, fine. So let's go for saying, so in that case the enum will have more things, right? So in the enum, let's add a public abstract method. What would it be returning? Because it has to do the entire processing. Now when it wants to do the entire processing, it will need to the object of the response writer, because where it should be giving, see what all objects it needs. This one is enum, okay, it's a static member of bank clerk. You'll need to also pass the bank object. On this you have to find, so you'll need to pass all the various parameters. So what are the parameters? Abstract returns void, its process, method is process, but parameters to this, okay, the bank, okay, the matcher object, and a print writer object, or maybe I just call it as, to make it simple, let me just call it as out semicolon. I think that should be sufficient, or do we need anything else? We don't need the input stream or the scanner here, because that part is already taken care in the while loop. Fine, scanner purpose, command scanner purpose was reading the command, and this is not going to do that, but this one has to give an output. It needs to operate on a bank, fine, and it will need to find out the various parameters which have been captured in the matcher object. Fine. Okay, so these three. Fine. So if this is what we have, then for each command, yeah, we'll have to write the method public void process parameter is a bank, a matcher, and print writer. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just copy this part. सब मैं डाल देता हूँ पहले. Okay, so we have to write this for everyone. Quit में तो anyway it won't come here, but we still have to provide for the method. Quit में तो क्या करना है बोलो? Maybe. Fine, just come on. Okay, let's now go for, and okay, so what happens here in the while loop? Okay, that first one was necessary, we don't have this, but then process. Command dot process. And what goes in the process? Bank. We have the matcher as a local variable, and we have the response writer. Fine. Yeah. So this method is very small, run method. Fine, run method is done with, right? Okay, but now for each command, yes, we will write its processing. So what's the processing for open? Yeah? If someone says open, open account. Okay, so it says open account needs to be called, but first need to identify what is the type of account. Fine, in order to call open, we have to call, see, ultimately we would like to be calling bank dot, rather we'll say long account number equals, sorry, bank dot open account. Right? And we'll be passing some parameters here, right? Okay, so I need to determine what are the parameters I have to pass, and that comes from the matcher. Fine, we have capturing groups. Okay, so for those capturing groups will be available as a string object. Or I can use like this, char, okay, account type equals matcher dot group 1 dot char add 0. Matcher has a method called group to tell you what it has captured.
सर वो ऐसे ही लिखा है, उसके अराउंड पैरेंथेसिस करना पड़ेगा.
Haven't we done that? अच्छा. Oh, I think there's an error here. We started the parenthesis but we didn't end it. See, this is here. And this one to end here. We have capturing group. See, this is a capturing group. अच्छा इधर 2 हो गया. Okay, yeah, It was wrongly placed. Parenthesis.
सर एक कैरेट यूज क्यों किया है? कैरेट 0.
I want to convert to a char and maybe I'll use the switch case.
सर पार्स कैर नहीं है.
No. For we don't have. For char type character, no. For other primitives, yes. String to primitive is available, but for char type, you use char at 0. What is the string? String is made up of multiple char values. Right? We understand this is going to be single character only. So char at 0. Fine. Fine. S or C. So it's only single character, either S or C, upper or lower case. Fine. Or if you want still further to make things simpler for a later stage, you can also use group 1 dot to uppercase. Okay, so you are sure that it's going to be only a single value S or a single value C. And you find what may have been entered may be lowercase, right? But we convert to uppercase and maybe since we know that it is only two values, possible values, fine. We can use if else also, or else if there are multiple values, we would have used a switch case. So I'll say, where have we kept the account type? It's in the bank class. Account type. Let's just check where is the. Okay, we didn't save this at all. Let's save this first. Whatever we have done so far. Let's save this as bank clerk.java.
सर उधर जो S और C है उसमें S और C करना चाहिए ना.
It is either S or it's going to be C. So you have the list, right? One of these four. It's one of these four. You will have only one of these four. That's it. One single character, which is one of these four only. Yeah. So, okay, let me now try to open. I think it says bank.java that we have got bank.account type. Right, we want this as the parameter to be passed there. So, okay, so bank.account type. Okay, so account type equals account type char equals S. I've taken S, right? Question mark. Then it is bank dot account type. Okay, let me keep this here. Bank dot account type dot savings colon. We can have bank dot account type dot current. Okay, so we got the account type. That's the first parameter needed in the open. Fine. Next thing.
सर यदि हम टू अपर केस में कन्वर्ट कर ही रहे हैं ना तो फिर
हाँ.
वेरीफाई करना जरूरी है क्या सर कि स्मॉल में है या कैपिटल में?
No, it will be capital for us. Na? The char value which we have taken account type carries always either S or C only in capital.
Yeah, but
हाँ.
sir, ऊपर जो हम लिखे हैं ऐसे
We don't want to verify how he has entered. He may write in upper or lower case.
बट हम उसको अपर केस में कन्वर्ट
Uh-huh. So account type is available. What's the next field? Name. Name equals matcher dot group 2. That's the name. And what's the last one? Long opening balance is equal to long dot parse long and matcher dot group 3. Okay, and here what we do is we just
तो ग्रुप का मतलब एस और सी में से है उधर है ना वो डब्ल्यू प्लस है उसके नाम पे
opening balance. Fine, so we got the fine. We have now created a opened our account, right? So one thing, when I call open account, it will throw an exception. I can have a try catch for that. अभी डाला नहीं है. Or other option was to provide for a throws in the process method. Process can have a throws, then fine. Okay. Or else have a try catch here.
यहाँ पे तो लिखेंगे तो हमारे
करना बाकी है, ठीक है. I have not done that.
सर यहाँ पे थ्रोस नहीं आएंगे
यहाँ पे throws नहीं डाल सकते unless you put a throws in the abstract method. नीचे है ना, you are overriding this abstract method. Where is that abstract method? हाँ, तो इधर भी throws लिखना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे. So this throws
कैसे लिखते हैं
हर एक में ट्राई कैच आएगा. हाँ? हाँ,
सर उसमें कैच में क्या लिखना है
yeah, let's see. Fine, so I want to put a try catch. एक काम करते हैं. There are two statements we would do. Okay, this and bank dot display. And let's do this.
सर उसका क्लोजिंग नहीं हुआ ट्राई करो
Catch. There will be two exceptions. I'm just putting exception. Okay, and we can do a e dot print stack trace. But when you do a stack trace, print stack trace, where will it print? Where will the print stack trace do a print?
console
Standard error. Print stack trace output by default goes to the standard error, but if you look at the API for throwable, we will find print stack trace is overloaded. It's overloaded. You can also specify where do you want the output to be. You can pass a print writer here. Okay, so you can say okay, print stack trace on the response writer.
सबसे भारी
Huh?
ऑब्जेक्ट का सबसे भारी कोडी वाला अच्छा वाला
Okay. Okay, done.
ना फ्लोट भी तो नहीं लिख पाते हैं पता है
Huh?
मैं इतना फ्लोट भी नहीं लिख पाता बहुत कर सकता हूँ और इतना कोड लिखते तो मेरे को 2-3 घंटे लग
Time to think. will be over a time that you will get this. थोड़ा
हमारे जन्म से पहले से भी चार दिन में कंपटीशन करना चाहते हो लेकिन इनसे समझ में आ रहा है सर
है ना.
समझ में आ रहा है तो कुछ चीजें कंफ्यूज होता है जो मतलब डायरेक्ट मेथड यूज होता है वो सब कंफ्यूज होता है बट ठीक है सर समझ में तो आ रहा है
इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, मैं बाद में आएगा प्रॉब्लम में. विल बी फाइंडिंग इन प्रॉब्लम एंड विल मेकिंग सम करेक्शंस नॉट इन दिस क्लास एज मच एज विल बी इन द अदर टू क्लासेस, बैंक एंड द अकाउंट क्लास. उसमें काफ़ी चेंजेस आने वाले हैं, उसमें चेंजेस आने वाले हैं. When we look at IO, we'll do the java.io. Next is, we'll be looking at IO after this. So after that, yes, then we'll see. There are some changes which will be needed, especially what we are doing here. अच्छा, main भी लिख लेना क्या? मैंने एक process लिखा है, right? Now want to look at what the main will look like. बराबर, इसके अंदर ही main लिखते हैं.
हाँ ये सर
So we can have a public static void main, parameter is a string array, args. Okay, you can keep a throws exception, or maybe let's check this. What do we do first? Command line arguments for bank name and bank code. Fine, same thing what we had done in probably the test bank class. Yeah, let's open the test bank. Initially there would be something like this, right? Here an initial code. So I think initial code is the same. Creating a bank object, that's the first objective. अच्छा, यूजर से लेना है रन करके. ओके, सो दैट मे बी गुड ऑप्शन. ओके, सो वी वांट टू टेक इट फ्रॉम द यूजर. So if you want to, yeah, so we are not using the command line arguments here. Okay, or you could do it like this. You could say, okay, if I find command line arguments, I am going to use it, otherwise I am asking from the user. Fine. So if you want to ask from the user, you will be creating a scanner, but only if you don't find the command line argument. Okay, so let's first check if args.length is greater than 1. Okay, is greater than 0. And so at least 1 is there. Okay, I think I'll declare a variable. What we want to capture? A string for the bank name. Fine. Bank ka naam. We want the name for a bank, na? We want to create a bank object using a bank name and a bank code. Long bank code equals 0, some initial value I am having. So we have declared these two variables. Okay, and if args is greater than 0, yeah, bank name equals args of 1, 0, sorry. नहीं आएगा, एक्सेप्शन नहीं आएगा. We have the else part. Okay, so want to initialize a scanner object first. Scanner. हाँ हाँ देख लेते हैं. We'll see. We'll see what we do here, right? So if you have a scanner equals new system.in. This we are taking from standard input. Okay, this one we'll take from standard input. Okay. Else bank name equals sc dot read line. Read line है ना? Next line, sc dot next line. And you have bank name will be initialized. So this ensures that a bank name is initialized. Okay, and then we have if args dot length is greater than 1, bank code equals long dot args of 1. Okay. Else bank code equals sc dot next long. Achha, it's a bank code is a int, na? So next int, and that was a parse int rather. And bank code is a int. Sorry. नहीं, next int. The type is int, na? चलेगा. You can straight away go for next int. So it will convert to int. अच्छा next int. Oh, वो देना है message. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Fine. So two inputs are taken. Now we can create a bank object.
सर उसमें next string ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा. next string
नहीं चलेगा.
next string
Because next one is a token which is a type int. You can just say next int. It's a int token. Bank equals new. Bank can be created from bank name and bank code. Yeah. Okay, you got the bank object. What's the next thing? Bank clerk equals new bank clerk created from a bank object, and that's it maybe. And we are saying clerk dot run. That's it. This is what is mean.
रैंडम का मेथड बनाया.
वही तो बना रहे हैं. Yeah, this is the run method. Run method is to take command in a loop. It's that loop. It will come out of the loop with the quit. What is pending is process for every command. Every command has its own process.
सर वो सारी exceptions का try catch
इंडिविजुअल जहाँ पे यूज करे वहीं पे कर लो एंड गिव अ मैसेज. Next one is about deposit. So in case of deposit, what do we get? Long account number equals matcher dot what does matcher have? Group. Oh, it will be, sorry, long dot parse long. Matcher dot group 1. 0, it starts with 1. 0 will be the entire input which has matched. And this is capturing group 1. You will have long amount equals long dot parse long and matcher dot group 2.
बैंक क्लर्क टेस्ट अकाउंट ऐसा ही है, अरे टेस्ट बैंक खाली उससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा अच्छा है।
Look, and also we added the interactive part. If you don't pass command line argument, it will prompt you for the bank name and the bank code. Okay, then bank dot deposit. Oh, that would be in a trap catch.
सर बैंक डॉट डिपॉजिट कुछ रिटर्न नहीं करना।
No, this is process. Yeah, bank dot deposit anyway doesn't return. And yeah, what do we have here? Bank dot deposit account number comma amount. Done. Yeah, that's done. Yeah, what's the next one? Again, find the first two statements. I think I can copy from there. Okay, it's not we have a slight difference, but anyway, let me take that as a template. Okay, now here you'll have a if statement. If not bank dot withdraw, and if you can't withdraw, response writer dot println fine. Otherwise, yeah, one thing we forgot here, after a deposit we should be displaying the details. Okay, bank dot display account number, and that goes here also. Okay, next is close. Yeah. In case of close, only one parameter. Okay, so long account number equals long dot. Okay, I think copy from there. It's a group 1. Okay, and now we can say long closing balance equals bank dot close or close account. What's the method name? Is it close or close account? Huh? Open account, deposit.
Close account.
It's a close account. And just say close account. And parameter is the account number. Okay, and we got the closing balance. So response writer dot println. Okay, oh, we need a track h for this one.
So इसमें no such account exception आ सकता है.
Huh. Catch. Only one exception, right? No such account exception.
और सर account number negative हुआ तो वो क्या सकता है?
No. No. It's a no such account. Account number is negative or anything. Response writer dot println, and you can be saying fine. Yeah. So this is closed with this. Otherwise, yes, it's going to print a okay. And se dot print stack trace response writer. And so that's a close. Okay, so what's in display? This will be bank dot display account number. And I think it's print passbook or simply passbook. What's the method? Print passbook. That's okay.
सर ये जो लिस्ट है
Yeah.
वो तो सिर्फ कुछ ही लोगों को एक्सेस हो पाए पासवर्ड कुछ बना
अभी तो it's for everyone, let's say. Yeah.
ऐसा कर सकते हैं ना पासवर्ड डाल के
Mm-hmm. here you want to give a response because since there is a command ऐसा रखना है in the quit. Anyway, it never comes here, okay, it never comes here, but we still say okay, response writer dot println okay. It won't come here anyway, you won't get that message.
मोबाइल लूप में कंडीशन डाला हुआ है.
Huh. And if you want to see the message after the end of while loop,
else में लिखना है.
in the end of the while loop, here you can say command dot process. There, here. If you want that, if you want to see that message exiting. Okay, let's try compiling. We have some errors probably. Yeah, it's bank/bankclerk.java. Okay. Yeah, let's check what's the error.
Non-static query.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Oh, we haven't. So response writer everywhere we have used e.print writer is response writer. That's what is giving error.
सर ये कैसा है मैसेज?
Huh. Okay, so non-static variable response writer cannot be referenced from a static context. Let's check. Okay, so if you look at the code, here we have used.
Print stack trace.
Okay, so e.print stack trace.
So print stack trace static method.
No, oh, it's out. We passed the parameter, but the name is different. We used out as a variable. We said, okay, let's make it short, right? So out रख दिया था, but we have used response writer wrongly. Okay, so it was out.
अच्छा तो response writer static.
है ना? We actually did pass it as a parameter because we knew we can't use it directly. And we had passed it as a parameter, and that is what was to be used here. So wherever if we have used response writer within here, within the process, that's a mistake. It's to be replaced with.
सर तो हमने जो बैंक क्लर्क है उसमें जो response writer बना है वो static है.
नहीं, it's
कैसा
not.
message हुआ है?
So that's what the message is. Look at the message. This is what is enum. Enum is as a static member of. Enum is always a static. So this is a static context within the bank clerk. This is a static context. Entire enum is a static context within the bank clerk. So instance variable of bank clerk cannot be used here directly. And there is no implicit object available here for the bank clerk. Right? And that's why the reason, and that's the reason why we have put print writer as a parameter. The mistake was we didn't use out, we forgot, and we said okay, response writer. We already had the variable called out. But the हाँ,
सारा एक्सेस मिल जाएगा
not everywhere, right?
यहाँ पे
Yeah, I think it's done. Okay, let's check again. Right, 14 errors. Yeah, it's 5. Scanner has a method called next line. That's correct. Okay. Acha, scanner doesn't take a prompt. Okay? Scanner doesn't have the prompt. That was in the console. They are mixing. Console has the method for taking a prompt. Next line, the method of scanner is a simple method, no parameters to it. I think
सर उसके पहले
not equal to वाला है.
प्रिंट एलन करवाना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, print or print ln. अच्छा, bracket mismatch is there. It seems there is a bracket mismatch in the y. Okay, so this one is matching. This one is matching. Okay, what we can do probably is we can put one more bracket. No, what ठीक है? We can put one more bracket before the not equal to. The entire thing is a this. Okay, let's try with this. Probably that should take care. Okay, what was the other?
नेक्स्ट लाइन.
Acha, scanner here. Print. We'll have to just say print and not print ln. Okay. Let's try compiling. Long dot parse in. Oh, it's integer dot parse int. 151. Okay, so that's compiled. So I want to run. bank dot bank clerk. Pass command line arguments or
नहीं सर
enter the bank name, enter the bank code. Okay, it's waiting for a command. Open, type is current. Okay. Fine. So this is our interactive part. Just give a command. Okay. Open. You can use the list. Passbook for the account number is 23452 3, right? Display. Quit check करना है. Fine.
आज पूरा दिन